Hello, hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly. Shalom, shalom. How's it going?
I'm doing well. Busy times as usual. How are you?
Good. Good, Baruch Hashem. So I want to hear about all this busy time. So first of all, congratulations. Mazal tov, mazal tov. You finally completed this incredible round. I want to hear all about it. And how do you feel?
Thank you. I feel good. It's just signing a check. That's it. Now it's the hard work of using the capital in the right way in a very strong position in the market. So, that's it's a good position to be at in this market.
Amazing. So tell me about how did this round come about? First you raised 20 million for your Series B, then you extended it to additional to get to a total of 55 million, if I'm not mistaken. What were the milestones you needed to hit? How did this whole thing come about?
Yeah, so basically I've known Dean, who led the round from DTCP for a couple of years now.
By the way, he's a great man. He's a very dear friend. I think he's absolutely awesome. He's a really up and coming. He'll be incredible. Absolutely. He's not up and coming. He already is, but he's amazing. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. The backstory is that when he was at DTCP, but when they had the other people leading the Israeli office, they scheduled a random touch base catch up conversation with me. That was about 2.5 years ago. And I was apparently invited by Snowflake to present at the Snowflake Summit. And I completely forgot about this. And I felt so bad, pushing meetings last minute with them because they scheduled it 6 months in advance. So I just woke up 4 a.m. in this bad hotel on the strip in Vegas. And I had 30 minutes conversation with him, 4 a.m. in the morning. And they're like, Yair, how come you're here with us? I'm like, guys, I felt this bad. So that basically helped us to accelerate the trust. And since then, I was in touch with Dean on and off. They had a small investment in the first piece of this round. And then towards the end of 2024, Dean saw the growth, the operations of the company from the inside. So it was easier for him to just say, all right, I know what's going to happen. Now it's time for me to double down. I was surprised in a good way. Finally, I'm getting good surprises. It's been hard. So yeah, I'm happy to be on that side of the river at this point.
Wow. Why not just go ahead and raise a proper Series C? Why'd you just go ahead and do it? Why'd you do an extension?
Simply because I think raising Series C could come in a different shape for us. We are working on some very strategic opportunities right now. The organic growth of Anecdotes is phenomenal, but we have this pretty unique and fascinating opportunity to go to the GRC market by complementing other GRC platforms and not just competing with them, which it's this frenemy zone, but basically that's our strategic approach to the enterprises. And it started to get a lot of attention. And maybe we're going to see strong syndication in the future from, we're playing Switzerland at this point. That's our approach. We got this unique piece of technology, the data and AI for GRC. You guys have the workflows, you got the customer base, the enterprises, and everyone misses that piece of data and AI. So it's a good marriage.
I love that.
But it's the beginning of it. So we got to see, I think, about 2 years how it shapes out. And it may look very different for everyone on the market in 2 years from now.
So you're still having a lot of fun. You mentioned you're here for the next 2 years for sure, because you're going to see how the market plays, but you're still having a lot of fun and enjoying this whole entire journey.
Look, I'm here because I enjoy it. That's the honest truth. There is no way someone can hustle and overcome the suffering that's involved in being in the CEO seat and the founder seat if you just don't enjoy it. So yeah, I enjoy it. I plan to stay here as long as I can. If I get the opportunity, I think things are going pretty well. And, it's a long-term game.
Yeah. What has been some of the suffering?
It's a lot about managing expectations. Your own expectations, your employees' expectations, investors' expectations, a lot of different expectations are being thrown away. And typically the question is, what's the center point? Where can we get everyone not just to be happy and satisfied? This never happens, but feel like they're part of the journey and they understand that maybe we're here today, but we are marching towards that next milestone. It's hard to get different people, especially strong and opinionated people around the table, really to understand a journey. But, It's, I think it's part of the seat. That's part of the duties.
Are there any things that surprised you being in the seat?
I had no idea what I signed up for. I was the technical person leading R&D sections, R&D groups. When I convinced my co-founder Reed to build Anecdotes, he basically told me, fine, as long as you take the CO seat. And basically after 3 minutes, I'm like, all right, I'll just do it. Easy. So it took me some time to realize what it really is. But I think in the past few years, I realized that this is fascinating. Building go-to-market, really working with interesting people and making those strategic maneuvers on the market is very strong once you understand the capabilities that you have and what you're playing with. But there's absolutely a learning curve to get there.
What were some of those learning experiences that you went through, and the ways and how you leveled yourself up from, being a pre-seed, seed, A, B, and from 0 employees, you and your co-founder, to now you have over 100 employees?
I think first thing is just about trust in the people with you, trust in the co-founders around you. That was important, very important for me. We'll make mistakes, but really it's impossible to overcome mistakes if you don't have the right support system. I think it's fair to say that competition is the kind of things that many times it's translated and basically perceived as, oh my God, it's going to kill my company. Whereas in reality, it's the complete opposite. Like if you truly understand the pain points I truly understood the pain point I was trying to solve. I was suffering this before Anecdotes. So I knew exactly what the pain point was, but it was hard to articulate, like, who's experiencing this pain? What's the right segment? What's the right position? How do I address these people? So I think competition, and nowadays it's like every market is red ocean. If it's not red ocean, don't go there. Red ocean is a sign that you're looking in the right direction. But competition is something that if it's not translated in the right direction, yes, it makes a lot of people, employees, executives, even investors, highly concerned. And I just learned what it's like to analyze the market, understand the dynamics, reach out to my colleagues, my peers on the other sides.
What are some of the conversations that you think founders should have that they're not having? The unspoken things.
There are probably a lot of conversations around, do I truly understand the market? And I think that's one of those topics that every founder is asking themselves deep inside at night. It's not about technology. It's not about, do we get this feature? What's the roadmap? It's about, am I solving a real pain point, a true pain point? And many times it's, people are embarrassed to say, I was looking in the wrong direction. I can share. I see founders reaching out, but it's like one-on-one off record. What do you think? We're looking in the right direction. I think building public is a very powerful motion, but it's not for every founder. I couldn't do it. It's very hard to build in public, but having the trust circle and the ability to speak with others, founders or not, around that issue, am I spending my time on the right opportunity? I think early stage, this is super important and it's almost priceless.
Do you have your own founder support network?
I got my own support network. It's not just founders. I think founders, yes, it's one character of people, but it's also executives. It's also people that have been executives for decades. And at this point, they're just happy to support others on their journey. But yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's a mixture.
Your self-confidence as a CEO, is that something you had always, or your self-confidence in general, is that something that grew together as the role continued to expand?
It's a good question. I have no idea. I think I'm always being told that we're too humble about what we do with Anecdotes. You should be outspoken. You should tell people more about the beautiful things you do, about the phenomenal customers, about those strategic giant deals you're doing behind the scenes. And I was like, yeah, maybe I have to. I don't know. So not sure I have the right answer, but
I have to. This is this question has been in my mind, because right now we're currently in Passover and Pesach, and Passover is all about going out of Egypt. So the question we were thinking about during the Seder was, where in our own life are you still in Mitzrayim? where you're still a slave. And where in your life do you want to have an exodus and experience true freedom? So I'm going to ask you that question. Where in your life do you still feel imprisonment and you want to be free?
Yeah, so we had another center just a couple of nights ago. And I think at the end of the day, it's a very tough question nowadays for a lot of, I think, Jews and Israelis, putting aside politics, putting aside expectations. It's been tough 18 months. And I think I decided to stay and live in Israel. Yes, I do have to fly a lot to the States, but that's part of the business, the duties. My family's here. I decided to stay here. I like it here. But I feel like the past 18 months of this war were really difficult to a lot of people. It's not about winning or losing. It's about that subjective experience that you're safe, that you are where you want to be, that you belong. And I think that it's something that's been missing in the past year and a half in Israel.
It's powerful.
I don't think it's the end. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm still here, Tel Aviv. I think it's going to come back, but it requires some work. It requires people to still believe that this is something worth, waking up for. And I think, yes, there's a lot of right-wing, left-wing politics. The Israeli version of the politics is as dirty as ever, but it doesn't matter. Like, as long as good people wake up in the morning and just decide, yeah, we're here. We're going to make this work. I hope it's going to be our exodus.
What gets you excited to wake up in the morning to work on Anecdotes every single day?
So I started to say, I feel like we've been baking Anecdotes in the past 4.5 years, and now it's ready. There is a phenomenal and perfect chaos that's happening outside, together with massive disruption that AI does to a lot of organizations, together with maturity of data and AI technology that we are shipping to the biggest enterprises and biggest service providers out there. And the next 2 years for us are all about getting the fulfillment of this technology can demonstrate value and impact at scale. This is not like investors pitch or anything. I'm not selling here to anyone. It's really what the Anecdotes team is all about. Like, those massive opportunities are happening. So we're capturing them and we're seeing great echo from the market. We're probably going to have a couple of very exciting announcements on this topic in the next few months. And I think that's what's going to happen for us in the next 2 years, finally fulfilling our mission to truly bring a new protocol to this GRC compliance world and making it data and AI oriented. This is now the scale phase, not baking anymore.
So is the next big milestone revenue target, or is it a new product announcement? What are we looking at?
A lot of things. We've recently announced another AI agent that was on the Google Next event recently. And there's a massive partnership that basically any person in this ecosystem is going to be, wait a second, what just happened? So it's those really interesting moments that we're going to see in the markets where fundamentals are going to be disrupted.
Okay. I'm excited. I'm very excited. I can't wait for it to hear about it. What would you tell other founders that are currently raising their B round? What should they know?
I think you really have to be careful with metrics and goals. That's what we've been trying to do. That's what we're trying to do on our own. Setting high expectations a lot, I would say, historically, was the right way to approach fundraising and investors. I think nowadays it's actually the opposite. It's about confidence, maturity, predictability. It's not necessarily about the biggest committed numbers. I think it's a unique change in the market that happened in the past, let's say, 2 years. But whoever is now in this phase, meaning they probably started their journey back in 2018 to 2022, where just promise 5x growth was making it for you, that ship has sailed. This is not what's going to make it.
We're in a very, very different space currently right now. Very different space.
But I think every founder nowadays in the approach of Series V started in a very different and dynamic market. And that's kind of the adjustments that I think we all have to do.
When you started, this is when? Mid-COVID?
2020. Yep. First lockdown.
First
Not sure it
vodka.
was the smartest thing to do, but we did it.
Okay. So you went through the whole massive high phase. And were you able to take advantage of that and you get a high valuation, a lot of money?
Relatively, yes. But again, we're young. We started July 2020. So at the peak, we basically raised our A round, which was great for us. But then we had to grow into this. And that took the time, that takes the efforts, takes the patience. Nowadays, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
You can't make these kind of bets and assume that in 2 or 3 years from now, you can, God knows how much multiples on your current business.
I feel like there's still a challenge a bit, specifically in the Israeli ecosystem, where a lot of companies have to be prove their value and like live up to the valuation that they're receiving. And I think times are changing a little bit, but I guess we'll have to see. What are some things that we should know
I don't think, just one thing on this, I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean, it's just re-educating with classic economics foundations. Like at the end of the day, startups are just a different type of business. And as long as you can build enterprise value, it's perfect.
Yeah.
If you forgot that the end mission is to build enterprise value can be built through profitability, through growth, through a lot of different vectors. But if the market changed and you cannot build or increment or increase your enterprise value, this is the challenging phase. So enterprise are just another type of business. And I don't think it's a terrible thing to do.
Right.
You just grow to this.
And this is where the learning curve comes from. You've been in this journey now for 4.5 years. You've seen the ups, the highs, the lows, the good, the bad, and that comes with time. It's something that's experienced. Nothing else can prepare you for it. And the only way to be able to learn it and to do it is to actually go through it.
Absolutely. I mean, you always try to learn from others' mistakes and you just make other mistakes. That's what I saw in my life, which is great. I'm like, I didn't fall into this pitfall, but I did some gazillion other mistakes. But that's life, I think. It's all about learning curve. And I think nowadays, you don't have to be the smartest person. You just really have to be resilient enough to learn from mistakes, to own those mistakes, to fix it, and not win credibility or trust in the process. Yeah, that's the game.
I agree. So what are some things we should know about Yair that will surprise most people?
Surprise most people? I don't know. Yair used to play for many years, about 10 years, piano and guitar. What else he taught me? Nothing surprises. You know, the classic Israeli guy lives up here, enjoys skiing a lot. So at least in the past 2 years, I was able to take some time off and enjoy it. That's it. Just a regular guy.
Are there any things outside of being a founder? Like any other hobbies? You mentioned skiing, you mentioned guitar, piano. Any other things you feel like that has helped you in your personal journey and helped you become a better version and a better founder?
I think it's all of it. I mean, I can't pick one thing from my, childhood and previous experiences. It's one layer on top of the other. So being competitive as a child, it's not always easy, but it helps you. Going and playing for so many years, classic piano and performing on stage. Well, this is not so different. You read someone else's notes, you just, you pitch to investors. I think it's about the ability to just keep learning from what you did, and maybe the context is changing, but there are many skills that as we grow up in different environments, we can really reuse and leverage in business environments.
In a hypothetical future, what do you see the outcome for Anecdotes?
Great question. Could be a company that will officially take down the enterprise GRC in multiple ways. Could be the biggest Switzerland position in the world, where we basically have footprint in any enterprise through their existing GRC, or we end up becoming this giant GRC platform that is just heavily differentiated because of this unique approach. We may end up joining forces with someone who has the appetite to have a footprint in this fascinating data and AI for GRC. I think for us, it's about the journey of keeping the growth and capturing the right opportunities. That's truly how we try to think about this. There's no, this is where we exit.
I love it. And I'm super excited to see what happens going forward, to seeing your journey. I've seen it until now, and obviously to see the journey of Anecdotes, how that continues on. And first of all, congratulations, Mazel Tov again. I'm so happy when I saw you had the funding announcement, like, okay, I got to get him on the phone, got to hear what's going on and everything. So I'm very excited that we got a chance, opportunity to talk and to really hear what's happening. So I want to wish you a lot of continued success. And I'm looking forward to seeing you next in person, to giving you that hug that we finally have to give. And it's going to be amazing. The story of Anecdotes is just beginning, and it's only going to continue from here on.
Absolutely. Thanks for trying. It's been our pleasure finally finding the time, catching up, and absolutely looking forward to some random hugs on the streets in New York or elsewhere.
Anytime, my friend. Anytime.